Hey everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for this soap making video. Today's soap was a little bit different for me. I decided to push myself out of my little bit of comfort zone, and also I needed to make a soap quite quickly because I didn't actually have one to bring out for today's video. So what I decided to do is, rather than plan it in my head what I was going to do, in my basket up here I have got all my various fragrance oils. I stuck my hand in it and decided to make whichever one I pulled out. Now the fragrance oil I actually pulled out of my basket, and it was the first one I pulled out, was Anjou Pear, and I thought, why not? So after a moment of thinking, I decided to whip up some little soap dough pears. I haven't done the video on that one because they really are very simple. It was just a round piece of soap dough that I rolled into a teardrop shape and stuck a little bit of brown on the top of it. You'll see when I come to putting them onto the actual soap, but I will leave a link up in the corner so you can go and check out another video I have done where I've actually shown a bit more in depth of making a pear with little seeds and everything else as well. But for now, we're going to go and jump in and see how I make this Anjou Pear cold process soap. Let's go. Alright, I have checked that the video camera is recording, so off we go. I have got my oils here down to room temperature. I am pouring my sodium hydroxide and distilled solution into them. I'll give them a quick mix, and then I'm going to split them out for a couple of green and a little bit of brown colour. Oh, and a little bit of white too. So I'm only going to use a little bit of white, so we'll just pour that off for now. So just got my little jug. I'm also going to put my stick in there, so I remember to mix my white first. Into this jug I have a dark green. This is elusive, and we're going to do it in the pot with that one, so we'll go about there. And then I also have a little bit of mocha here, and I'm going to be doing a drop swirl with this one, so I'm not going to need as much. That should do nicely. Get all my drips up. So into that little one I'm going to put in just a tad bit of water dispersed titanium dioxide. And then into my big bucket I am going to use some Aero. Now I have done a pear soap before, and I used very similar colours, I think, and I ended up with this sort of design that was completely unplanned but looked super cool in it. When I did the drop with the brown last time, it actually looked like pear seeds in it. So we'll see if we can get that same effect again this time. I will leave a link up in the corner so you can go and check out how I made that last pear soap. My soap oils are playing beautifully today. I must have them at just the right temperature and the right temperature in the room as well. Hopefully once we add in the fragrance oil, it will continue to behave just as nicely so we can get some really nice swirls going. Finish getting this all cleaned up. So the fragrance oil I'm using today, I've got some Anjou Pear. It's quite a clear fragrance oil, but it does have a little tinge of yellow to it. It does have 0.1% vanillin in it. So I am actually going to avoid putting my fragrance into that white and just pour it into the greens and that brown, just so that white can stay nice and white in there. So we'll get this fragrance all mixed in, and then my plan is to do an in the pot swirl with that dark green and the white, and then pour that into the light green before pouring it into the mold, and then we'll do a drop swirl with this mocha brown and we'll see what effect we've got. And then I have some really cute little soap dough pears to go on the top of this one. So I'm going to pour about half of this white into the dark green to start with. Then I am going to do my in the pot in here, but I'm going to try and keep to that sort of time of 9, 3 and 6 6 and 12. And pour some in here, a bit in there. Pour a bit more of that white. I am going to keep a little bit of that for the top of the soap. Get the rest of this in here. And then we'll go and grab that mold. So it is thickening up on me, so we should get some interesting drops out of this brown. This fragrance oil, it smells like those pear drop lollies that you get. It's got notes of bergamot, lemon, there's some pear, apple, there's a bit of jasmine and a little bit of lily of the valley in there as well. It smells so good. It's a super strong fragrance and I am really, really loving it. I seem to be doing an all sort of fruity month this month with my soaps. I do have a couple of others coming out very soon which aren't so fruity, but that just happened to be what I picked out to make today's soap with. I am contemplating whether to put my hanger through it as well. I think I will. I'm not going to go too nuts with it. It is actually quite thick, which is why I'm thinking a nice little bit of a hanger in there, just to get that soap to move around. I'm going to finish getting those greens scraped out and then I'm going to put my white on the top as well, and then we'll go and grab our little embeds. So the idea for the top of this soap has really changed. I started to do one thing and then it just turned into something else, and now what I've decided to do, I have got some copper mica in my little spray bottle here, and I am just liberally spraying the top of this because I really want my pear embeds that I've got to really stand up out of here, and I just don't think they will on that green. I did try to get it so that they would sit on that white, but it wasn't going to come together the way I wanted it to. This is why I do try and plan my soaps and don't always work sort of on the spur of the moment. But I think this is going to work this way. If we put this nice copper on that green, the pear then should actually sit off of the other colours. Let's turn it around, make sure we're doing this side as well. Alright, so I am liking how that is now looking. I think these little pears are going to sit off it quite nicely. So I made these with some soap dough that I had in my box. That is what they look like, very, very simple. We've done the little top on them and then we've got a little piece in the bottom to make them look like the flower that would have been at the bottom when they first formed. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just lie them on its side. That one kind of rolled off and into the soap, so that will do like so. And I'm just going to go, probably they should be wide enough not to cause issues with the cutter, and yeah, that should be fine. We will go in there like so. Now I get lots and lots of questions and comments left on videos whenever I do my soap dough ones, mainly asking if I will do a soap dough video and also share a recipe. Now there's a couple of reasons why I probably will never do either of those. Making a soap dough video is going to be really, really boring. Honestly, it is just like making normal soap. You quite often see when I've done piping, I put it aside to use as soap dough later. So it is quite literally getting your oils down to room temperature or however you prefer to soap, and then adding in your lye water and going from there and putting it into mold. Once it's finished setting up overnight, rather than putting onto a cure rack to dry out, you're going to actually wrap it up and put it in an airtight container so it stays nice and soft and pliable. Now that's just going to make such a boring video to actually do. In terms of recipe, there is no magical soap dough recipe out there. There are sort of recommendations upon how to best formulate to get a nice soap dough recipe, but give your own recipes a go, because honestly, you'll probably be surprised at just how well your own recipe will form into a soap dough. You may have to adjust the water just a little bit to get it into the sort of pliable state that you need it, but quite often your own soap recipe will work. Now, the reason I don't share my recipe, well, one, I sometimes use the actual recipe that is my soap, so that recipe is shared and down in the sort of description box. But the other reason I don't share my sort of other recipe that I make, I just thought I'd lost a pear, found it. The other reason I actually don't share another sort of recipe, because I do two. I use my normal soap recipe if I've got leftover, and then if I'm making specific soap dough, I do have a separate recipe for that. But the reason I don't share it is because when I actually developed it, it was before I had the Sorcery Soap book. And when I got the Sorcery Soap book, it pretty much matches one of the recipes that she has in the book. Two of my oils are different by 1%. So I thought, I can't really share what I developed as my recipe because it is so close to Bee's recipe, and she has put so much time and energy into producing a book and giving everybody information about how to create soap dough. I didn't think that was very fair. I am this year hoping to work on another sort of recipe to use as soap dough, and if that one is successful, I will be sharing that on my Patreon page, but I won't ever share it out through YouTube, because if you really do want to have a go at doing soap dough, I highly recommend following Sorcery Soaps and get her books in. She's got some wonderful information in the books and lots of recipes, whether you're a palm oil user, vegan, or whatever. She's got lots of different recipes in the book, so go and grab one of her books if you want to know more about doing the soap dough. I'm going to bring you down for a closer look. Alright, so here it is. This is the Anjou Pear. I am absolutely loving how that has come together. So glad that I have absolutely doused the top there in copper mica. They really do sit up off that very, very well. I'm going to leave this one sit here overnight, and then we're going to come back very soon. We're going to cut it open and see what swirls we've got on the inside. Here it is. Here is the pear soap ready to cut. I am absolutely loving how this has come together. The colors are just perfect. It smells super strong as well. As I took the silicone liner off the outside of this soap, I just got hit with this sort of super sweet smell of pear. Let's see how bad a job I did at lining up my pears. Some of them are going to be missed, some of them are going to lose their little sides, but it's all good there. I can probably actually fix them up, seeing as it is soap dough and still a little bit soft. We are almost, well, we are now through, so let's take a look at what we've got. Alright, let's grab this piece off the end. Those little pears on the top are so super cute. I only weighed them out to be about 7 grams of soap dough, so they really are quite small. But that is the inside. That swirl in that dark green and white is really intense. It looks like someone's got a bit of Mr. Whippy ice cream and kind of swirled it through the soap. It looks really, really good. Loving that drop swirl as well. I love doing that sort of in the pot swirl. So you do one in the pot and then pour it into the next pot, and you always get this sort of real mingle of the colors, but it never seems to muddy up. And then when you do your drop swirl afterwards, you get these really clear, bold drops of that new color. Really like that side there. Now, if this wasn't screaming pear at me with the fragrance oil and the little pears on the top, I would almost say that would make an excellent chocolate mint soap as well. Just a shame chocolate mint always discolors. So we will stick to pear. Absolutely loving the design in this one. Really like the little pears as well. This little pear has had a tiny bit cut off, but that doesn't really matter. You can still get that general idea that it has got the pear on the top. Love how this one has come up. It's a really nice fragrance oil. I was a little bit concerned because it was starting to get that little bit thicker on me, but that does mean that you get some beautiful swirls, and the colors do stay very unique as well. So I am really pleased with how this pear soap has come up. If you follow along with me over on Instagram, you will see when this one becomes available in the store, along with all the other fruit-based ones I have made for this summer. That was kind of very unplanned, but it just seemed that we had lots and lots of fruity soaps ready to go. Really liking the inside of that one too. We've got another almost little love heart in there. So I hope you have enjoyed watching how I made my Anjou Pear soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a great one, and I will see you then. Bye.